Hey guys, it's Troy here, and got another video for you today about some of my latest two pen acquisitions. Two of them. And one of them I told you about in the last video that I was still expecting, and this particular one was pen mail. I actually bought this off from another collector who had a Karas Kustoms and Fountain K in gray with a silver grip and a fine nib, as you can tell right on the end of the box. Virtualpenshow.com is where this one was advertised, and usually these pens right here are going for right around $80, and the seller had offered this up at about $40. So I figured, you know, for half the price that you're going to get it directly from Karas Kustoms, I went ahead and just I had actually contacted the seller, and I was the second person in line to be able to get it. And I said, well, I realize you already have someone who messaged you, and if that doesn't work out, please let me know. I'm interested. So a couple days went by. She emailed me or messaged me through the Instagram app and said, yep, first deal fell through. It's yours if you want it. I said, yep, sure, I'll take it. So it came with the box, and I'll flip this out. There's the little instructions that come in there, and you can see right here that the pen comes in this cardboard. So I'll pull that out, and I'll pull that out. So I'm going to go ahead and set this box aside. So one of the things about Karas Kustoms, what they're known for is having a very basic looking pen, and they're pretty much indestructible, and they're usually fairly decent quality, at least all the ones that I've seen and touched. So you've got this ribbing up top here, which is fairly consistent with a lot of their work. You've got ones that are more industrial looking, where it's got like the tumbled aluminum, and some of these come in different colors as well. You've got the two screws holding down the clip, which gives it a very industrial look to it. And it slenders down just a little bit. It tapers down towards the end. So you look at the finial there, it's just a little small dome, and at the top it's a rounded sort of dome at the top of the cap. So it does unscrew, and this is all metal. Alright, so totally machined in the USA. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where they got all their bar stock or their materials, but you can see the threads down here inside the cap, and here's the pen itself. So it does have the silver grip, like it said on the box, and you've got your screws for your thread, and this is kind of a steep drop off to the threads, and from the threads it's a small drop off to a short section. I have not found this uncomfortable at all to use, though. Actually, it works fairly well. And then the nib is a Bach nib, and it is just a standard Bach number 5 nib. So I'll try to get you a close-up of that if this does not come out well. I'm usually not much on fine nibs, but I went ahead and bought this one anyway because, alright, I figured it was going to have a Bach or a Jovo, and it was going to be a European fine rather than an Asian fine, so I went ahead and got it. It is a cartridge converter type system, so it's got like that Schmidt style converter. And I have inked this up with some Rohrer and Klinger verdigris. So I will be showing you what that writes like here in just a little bit. So it is a friction fit converter. It does not screw down in this case. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a quick little writing sample with it. So this is a Karas Kustoms Fountain. Now you can see it's definitely got a fine line to it, and you can hear the feedback to it, and you know, it's actually fairly smooth for being a fine nib. So I have no problems with this nib at all. It's been writing fairly well and consistent for me. You can get a little bit of line variation, but not a lot. It's a fairly stiff nib, and it's not meant to be a flex. Like I said, the ink, though, was a Rohrer and Klinger, and this was their verdigris. And let's see if we can lay down a good patch of ink with this pen. So even being a fine line, you can still get it wet enough to be able to smear on a smear test. And let's flip it over. Reverse writing almost non-existent. Not that I understand why anybody would like that or want to do that, but I know people who actually use it. I mean, I lent a pen to one guy one time, and that's the first thing he did is he flipped it over and was doing reverse writing. And I wanted to correct him. He said, "Yeah, well, I've got a pen at home, and that's how I use it." Okay, fine. Well, whatever floats your boat, Bubba. So, one of the things, like I said, the pens are pretty much indestructible. Everything I've seen from Karas Kustoms has been very durable because it's machined metal. The entire thing is metal, with the exception of the plastic and the converter. And then maybe, you've got the feed too. The feed itself is going to be like a plastic. But it is a very durable, very reliable pen. And like I said, I got fine. I'm not used to fine nibs, don't particularly love fine nibs. But this one writes fairly well because it is a Bach nib. And every Bach nib I've ever had has been a good nib. So there you go. That's my take on the Karas Kustoms. Like I said, I've never seen anything by Karas that I haven't liked. They're not the prettiest pens, in my opinion. I don't think that they're really meant to be. They do have a very distinctive look to it. My Retro 51 has the same kind of pattern up here, but this is very indicative and very typical of a Karas Kustoms pen from most of the ones I've seen and touched. So the Fountain K. Not a bad deal. Like I said, retail on these are $80 if you go to the Karas Kustoms website right now. And I picked this up secondhand, very gently used, for about $40. So there you go. All right, second pen mail. And it's not really mail because I actually did this as a face-to-face transaction. I did not plan on buying this at all. It was on my wish list of pens that I eventually wanted to get. Like a lot of you, I went to the Pelikan Hub event that was held this past Friday night, September the 21st. And I got to meet up with a whole lot of people. And by the way, for those of you who are my viewers and I got to meet you again, some for the first time and some for the second time at a Pelikan event, first I want to thank you for watching, and I really appreciate the fact that you take the time to greet and you take the time to socialize. And that's one of the things, this being social media, I really enjoy the social interaction part with you, and I'm thankful for that. So, now that I've said that, I've got a few Pelikan pens. I've had a couple of Pelikans over the years, and the ones that I've had, I got the M120 in Iconic Blue that came out earlier this year. I've been meaning to do a review of it. I just haven't, because I've been busy with so many things. I've had an M150 that I've shown before, and I gifted that to somebody, and I hope that they're enjoying it. And Pelikan Twists. I've never really gone and gotten some of the higher end Pelikans. I like girthier pens. I like larger pens, so I had on my wish list for quite a while an M1000. One of the cool things is, while there was a gentleman by the name of Tom who had a portfolio full of Pelikan pens that he'd been collecting since, he told me, since 1980 or so. And he had new ones, he had vintage ones, he had small ones, he had big ones, and a whole lot of colors that they came in. And so he let me play with an M800 and an M1000 so I could see which one I would like better. And essentially I said, well, I like them both. I can deal with either one of them. And I took out a pen that I already had, my Schaefer PFM, because I like the size of it, and I compared it. It was closer to the M800, and I know that there's some people who prefer the 800 over the 1000 for the size, because it's a smaller of the two, and they like it better. Well, there happened to be a guy there, and I had zero intention of buying anything while at the hub, to be honest with you. But there was a guy there from Raleigh who happened to have an M1000 in his possession, new. He only took it out to photograph it. He actually purchased it with the idea of turning around and flipping it, essentially. So, the full retail manufacturer suggested retail price is around $1,000. I wasn't going to pay for that. I've seen these going brand new, 800, 700, 750, 900, anywhere in there online. So, he offered this to me and anybody else who was interested, the M1000, for, well, let's say he was trying to get a little more money than I was willing to pay at the moment. But we talked, we worked out a deal, and I actually, it's kind of funny because while sitting there talking to him, I pulled up the online app that I have on my phone for eBay, and lo and behold, his listing was there on eBay. So I knew what he was starting out at for the low end of the bidding. This is the pad that it comes on. A little bit of tissue paper there. So the books that it comes with, and I can tell where he bought it. He bought it at Cult Pens out of England. So actually, he told me he bought this out of England and had it shipped. So anyway, so let me put all that back. So we got to talking, and like I said, I had like zero expectations of purchasing anything there because it's not a place where you normally would go purchase. But we got to talking, and I said, I'm not going to find anything brand new for an M1000 any cheaper than this. So it came with this this leather pouch with the elastic that wraps around it. It's got the little Pelikan logo there. And you got a cellophane wrapped. You can tell it's got a medium nib, which is one of the reasons I went ahead and bought it. Now with a Pelikan, I would have considered buying a fine nib. I know that Pelikan nibs tend to run a little bit wide. So for a medium, it probably writes more like a broad. And you know what? It does. And for a fine, it writes more like a Western medium like I would be expecting. So I went ahead and picked this up anyway. And it came with, the still new, so it's got the black and green, or the Schwarz and Grün, the M1000 18 karat nib. So that just comes right off the clip. You got the typical Pelikan clip that's supposed to resemble a Pelikan beak with the eyes up top, and on the finial you've got the Pelikan logo. And this one, I didn't really jump at the green. Number one, everybody has green. The solid black and gold was very classy to me, and that's kind of what I wanted in an M1000. And then they had blue, and the blue, they sell a lot less of the blue, so I thought maybe that would be worth my getting. But for this price point, I figured, why not? So you've got Germany Pelikan Souverain. Germany Pelikan Souverain, right there on the band on the cap. So you've got the double band here, you got the double band here at the piston knob. This is a piston filler, it is not a converter, and at this price point you would expect to have a full piston filler, and which is very typical of Pelikan anyway. And you open it up, and you got this big, beautiful honkin' pen, and this big, beautiful Pelikan nib, which is the reason why I bought this pen, because of the big, beautiful Pelikan nib. The grip section's fairly short, and you got a little bit of thread here, but you don't really feel that when you go to use it. Now, the M1000, you see how big that is in my hand. Yep, I be loving it. I be loving the size of this pen, which is one of the reasons I went ahead and decided to go ahead with the 1000, especially since I had just tried an 800 and 1000 both in my hands and went, all right, I like them both, I could deal with them both. And when I found out a little later on, posted very nicely, I found later on that this guy had this 1000. I said, let's give it a try. So I went ahead and inked this up late that night when I got home. So I got myself a Pelikan M1000. Very medium, juicy writing, smooth nib. You may be able to hear it a little bit because you will. This actually has a little more noise for the feedback, and it almost squeaks at times. But this is as I would expect by Pelikan, and at this price point, I would expect a very smooth nib. depending upon the paper you're writing on, it'll actually sound a little louder or squeaky. On this Rhodia dot pad, it actually, you don't hear it quite so much. But I inked it up with the Pelikan Olivine, the Pelikan, the Edelstein Olivine, and that was their Pelikan's ink of the year, and it happens to be the ink that they gave us while we were there for going to the Pelikan Hub. And they did the same thing last year with the Smoky Quartz, and this year we got a free bottle. It'd help if I turned the pen correctly, of the Olivine for their Edelstein line of inks. And this pen is very flexy. I don't know if you can see how much flex I'm getting, but for a it's an 18 karat nib, modern nib. Look at that nice thick line that I'm getting. I would expect for a pen of this fame, of this price, and of this brand to actually give me good performance. And you know what? This did not disappoint. So this was my first high-end Pelikan, and you know, both of these pens that I picked up that I just showed you in this video, when you can pick them up at half of their retail value, or their going value, when you can pick it up for, you know, a good 33 to 50% off from what you're seeing them retail for at the moment. It's one of those you just go, you know, okay, let's go ahead and get them and add them to the collection. And this is one that I've been carrying around all weekend, and I probably will be using it a whole lot more coming up because, you know, I'm enjoying it. I like the size of the pen. I like the girth of the pen. I like the length of the pen. I like it's a piston filler. I like the fact that it's got a nice flexy nib if I want to make it flex, and it writes very smoothly. So been wanting one for a while, never had any intention of buying one anytime soon, so I think some of my pen buying for a while may slow down quite a bit. So my Pelikan M1000 and my Karas Kustoms Fountain K, you know, one costs a whole lot more than the other, but I like them both, and they are both now in my collection. So, oh yeah, one side note that I forgot to mention a little earlier, along with that pen, the guy I bought it from gave me one of these, and this came with it when he purchased it. So this is a single pen case, a Pelikan branded pen case. And if I can get this box open, because I've trimmed my fingernails here recently, and the fact that this thing does not want to come out very easily, took me had a hard time getting it out. So it came with this pen case right here. So it is a single case, and this one has the green closure flap, the flap for the closure. So this flap goes right into that little tie down just like that. So it's all leather. Let's go ahead and put the pen in here just so you can see, and if I ever want to use it. So I got a nice officially branded Pelikan pen slip. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but it's a nice thing to have around. I may store it in it. I really don't know. I usually carry around a 2-pen case. Actually, it's sitting right here on my desk. Today I was carrying it around in this. This is just a kind of a now getting worn $15 dual pen slip, and I always keep a Jinhao 992 inked up in it, ready to go to be able to give away to people, along with a little business card. So I always carry this in my pocket, which I was just today. So anyway, yeah, not bad. I mean, you know, for the price, it came with a nice, very nice quality leather Pelikan pen pouch.